Badenoch made a brave stand and stood up for someone.
The Right Honourable Member for Canterbury.
Absolutely. What the bloody hell's going on there?
Well, she sort of said that she was hounded out of the party. We're talking about Rosie Duffield here. She said that she was hounded out of the party because of her views on trans women, which I think is a falsehood. Mm-hmm. I would say that is rather disingenuous. And I thought, actually, we've been talking about Rosie Duffield for a while, but we haven't actually gone back over the sort of history of Rosie Duffield and why there was why there was animosity toward her in the Labour Party pre even her joining the sort of LGB alliance-esque sort of people, faction. I just want to take you back to 2017 because she's known as the Labour MP that pierced through the Tory stronghold there, right? Okay, so she was like the first MP, I want to say in over like 130 years, Labour MP to take the seat. But all of this movement was really spearheaded by, there was this 8,000 student registrations, and the Conservatives were furious at the time. There was a huge tactical voting movement, and that was being pushed by various pressure groups. It was a national movement because it was the anti-Brexit vote, if you remember, in 2017. So during that election, the local Green candidate and the local Liberal Democrat candidate, who was Tim Walker, who actually probably had a good run at it there, both stood back. Sorry, I'm not talking about 2019. Excuse me. They both stood back to allow her to win the anti-Brexit vote. So in 2017, she was sort of selected. She was arguably a little bit parachuted in. A lot of the local union members have some rather disparaging things to say about the way that she was selected. They also say that the story that she gave in her initial interviews with Labour don't add up. She was pitching herself as this single mother who was on tax credits, who'd worked very, very hard. Turned out she was actually a teaching assistant who, had lost her job. She had been pulled up in front of a disciplinary for being late so often, and she was actually late to the disciplinary meeting.
Oh, that's the one thing you should be early for.
And she even joked, actually, in an interview. I found an interview done by my friend Marie Leconte a few years ago, where she even joked that her timekeeping was so bad that she loses jobs left, right and centre. Local union reps were sort of furious about this cabal that surrounded her. And then when it got to 2019, this cabal was still protecting her because she'd come out as very anti-Corbyn. And she was arguing that she won the election herself in her name on her own right. They do not agree with that. They had this Paint the Town Red campaign, which basically meant that everyone in the constituency was fly posting vote Labour, literature, just vote Labour, the traditional placard signs. She was claiming that actually they were Rosie Duffield signs.
Right. And
that's why she won the election. Some discrepancy there. When she gets into Parliament, she is just fiercely anti-Corbyn. She's immediately she's appearing on different right-wing outlets. She's appearing in the Telegraph. She's talking about leaning into Corbyn being very anti-Semitic. She's sort of kind of like one of the first MPs to break away from him, to sort of, to really rally against him, if that makes sense. So she upset a lot of the campaigners who argued that they actually got her into that position. Just a couple of other bits that I think are worth mentioning. Sorry, I'm giving you a bit of a lecture. Would you like to interject?
No, thank you for the kind offer.
Sorry. She sort of really leaned into this anti-trans rhetoric quite early on, and she got into the scene with sort of J.K. Rowling and Graham Linehan and those sort of...
You're talking about it like it's like Britpop?
Am I?
got in early on the ground floor. No. As in like... What you're saying is absolutely correct, but it's just quite funny thinking about like being like they pioneered like
turfism,
like a special school of art,
right?
Like the Nouveau Vague of.
I mean, arguably, she just sort of she was at the forefront of this culture war movement, right? This sort of
Is this the only? Let me posit this to you. Is this the only? It's not, but this is maybe a funny observation. I've immediately thought of a counter example. The only successful British cultural force of the 21st century.
Well, I was just thinking it's a very successful right-wing coup. It shows that with cohesive, relentless, huge financial backing and, well, a lot of hysteria, madness can be achieved.
Absolutely.
What was your counter?
Grime.
Did he say grime?
Yeah. It's popular.
Okay.
Who's more popular, Stormzy or Rosie Duffield? Stormzy.
Not now.
That's not grime.
Yeah, but she's more popular than Stormzy.
Yeah, but she's not like at the forefront of a new
Well, she
British
definitely
cultural
is
movement.
now, isn't she, after the McDonald's thing?
Yeah, okay.
God, can
Skepta.
can we just go to McDonald's and get a Stormzy meal? Why can't...
I would get a Rosie Duffield meal.
Would you?
What's in Rosie Duffield's McDonald's order?
Mayo chicken, no mayo.
Mayo chicken, no lettuce, just a big thing of chicken. Fruit bag, water.
She's definitely getting a bottle of water with the McDonald's,
Yeah, I
isn't
think
she?
so. I actually do that.
Yeah, so do I.
Oh,
But we are TERFs, so...
that's how we met.
Right.
We've done a good job of hiding it.
She sort of joins the LGB Alliance and she's speaking... Well, she doesn't join the Alliance. But she's speaking at their events and... She's liking tweets that say things like mostly heterosexuals cosplaying as the opposite sex of what trans women are. Like, you know, she's just being pretty heinous. However, all of this is brought together with what I was originally talking about how the Labour left didn't like her because they felt she was working against the party. This is really brought into the spotlight when Eddie Izzard is running to be Labour MP and Rosie Duffield, so stunning, so brave, comes out against her and just sort of says like, she was just basically joking about like if misgendering is going to become a hate crime, well, I'm not going to call Eddie Izzard she, and she's just being really disparaging. But the election is coming up, so if you care about a party or you care about politics, then possibly you would put these sort of fringe differences aside for a hot second. It was actually very sad as well because Eddie Izzard was saying, you know, I prefer she, her, but I'm going to be relaxed about it. It's not the time to be fighting each other.
Yeah. Eddie Izzard was picking her battles.
It's just sad, really, isn't it? It's just like, leave her alone.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, when she left... wait, I've forgotten like a really great piece of information.
Hit me with it.
You might recall that she broke the lockdown rules.
Did she?
She did! Oh my God, did I not say this in the office before? Or are you doing this for the performance of the podcast?
Well, I'd already read it in the notes.
Okay.
But I was pretending I was learning with the listener.
Damn it.
Sorry, I'm being the audience substitute.
Okay, so she'd gone for a 5-hour walk with her partner in Canterbury when he was still living with his wife.
No.
Dun, 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 dun.
Ugh.
And this was at a time in April when you were not allowed to see anyone outside of your household.
April 2020?
We're not even going bubbles at this point.
April 2020,
She
you're
was just
breaking
like,
rules.
yeah, and then she was just like, it's really hard for me because we're going through a lot of personal changes. And it's like, yes.
Yeah. You're having an affair.
Yeah. Well, I
That
mean,
is hard.
They might argue it's not because there was some separation or whatever, but in the eyes of the Lord.
Which that is, you know, as a PoliticsJOE, divine law is above all.
Only Papal Francisco would be able to tell us what happened on that 5-hour walk.
What? So is Rosie Duffield still a Labour MP?
Well, before we get to that bit, just got one more little piece of information that I thought the listener might enjoy. How do I say this without sort of... Rosie Duffield was a difficult character.
Right.
I think it's fair to say that there was a period of time when she got very wrapped up in this movement to the point where there was actually nothing else she would talk about. And this is what I have been told over the years. This is what I've heard over the years. 2 of her staffers left her office. The second staffer was female. She left the office citing her anti-trans views.
It must be exhausting. If that's your like legislative priority and campaigning priority, and you are working in politics to kind of like do some good, then it must be frustrating.
Yeah, particularly when you think about what Labour could have achieved in the area.
Yeah.
There was sort of like a lot of the people, I spoke to someone earlier who was a local union rep while her selection and while her campaign for 2019 was going on. And he was just telling me that like we basically thought, all right, she's not going to be a particularly good national MP. She's not going to join in with Corbyn. She's going to be rather disparaging about the party, but she might be a good constituency MP.
Yeah.
And within 2 months, they were like, nope. Anyway, so then she left the Labour Party, but not even for these reasons. Not even for the reasons that Kemi Badenoch almost claimed she did.
Why did she leave then?
Well, she left because of. She'd fallen out with Keir Starmer quite some time ago. She got really pissed off, by the way, when Natalie Elphicke
Really?
defected.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She did.
Because she was the only Kent MP, and she was saying that she thought she was all that because of it.
Yep.
And she used to complain that Keir Starmer didn't care about Kent. And then he goes down to Kent and gets Natalie Elphicke in.
That was mental when he did that.
So Keir Starmer's cruel and unnecessary policies lambasted the PM's managerial and technocratic approach to politics. She said the row over freebies handed to Starmer and his top team demonstrated that sleaze, nepotism and apparent avarice, is that how you say that? I've never said that out now before.
No, I think it's
scale.
a valiant attempt.
She left the party in September, which means that all of those people who went out campaigning for her to get her re-elected in June, July, then lost their MP. She just sits as an independent.
Yes. And then claims credit for stuff like this.
But again, this is divisive. It's anti-party. And look, I'm not saying that MP shouldn't be anti-party line. I actually think at the time it was a right thing to say. Frustrating that was the person who had to say it.
Yes, well, because all the new Labour MPs weren't going to say it, were they?
No, and but it felt, I think in the context of what I've told you during this, God, I have been talking for a long time. I am sorry.
I was like, has it been 4 hours?
I know. It's like one of Sean's stories. In the context of what I've been talking to you about, it does sort of feel that there's this pattern of behaviour which is to splinter, fragment, and be destructive from the inside out.
Yes.
Rather than really believing with true... I mean, I'm pretty sure she doesn't believe that trans women are women, but rather than that being sort of the hill she'll die on, there seems to be an array of different ways that she just tried to splinter the Labour Party.
Yeah, and now she's pissing on the tent from the outside.